you had Randy Boissonnault kind of like, he's being called a liar, and no one on the red team is doing anything to stop it. So he starts interjecting, saying, "Mr. Chair, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right." And then all of a sudden, the Liberals are like, "Oh, point of order, point of order. I guess we should actually be helping Randy, right?"
Again to committee, all our new faces around the table, and we begin the first round of questioning for 6 minutes. We have Michael Barrett.
Mr. Boissonnault, I'll give you an opportunity to come clean with Canadians. Who's the other Randy?
Mr. Chair, could you have the member please clarify his question?
Oh, come on.
Well, it's a pretty straightforward question. In your previous appearance at other committees in this scandal, you said that it was an other Randy. Who is the other Randy at your former company, Global Health Imports?
Mr. Barrett, I am not involved in any of the conversations. If you are referring to reports in the media, I'm not involved in those conversations. And the Ethics Commissioner has indicated very clearly that I'm not involved in any of those conversations, any of those texts between Mr. Anderson and the person you just raised. And in fact, if you take a look at recent court cases, both the Gowie Group has indicated that they've never met me. I've never met them. And 4M Medical has indicated that they have never met me. I have never met them.
So the problem...
Okay, so already Randy is going off the rails. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not going to go well for Mr. Boissonnault.
I guess my appearance at committee is not going very well today.
So, dude, you were... I'm trying to recall, there was a movie... it was Back to the Future, and I think it was Back to the Future. Maybe it was part 1 when Marty McFly goes back in time, and Biff Tannen's gang comes up to him and says, "We can do it this the easy way, or we can do this the hard way." And then they like club him over the head, and then you hear one of the guys go, "The easy way." So clearly, Mr. Boissonnault is choosing the easy way to get through this. So. Wow. Because Michael Barrett just asked who the other Randy was. And then Boissonnault was like, well, I wasn't involved in those conversations. I wasn't involved in the text messages. I wasn't involved in the news reports.
Like you haven't seen the memes. Come on.
Well, and it's like, Barrett wasn't talking about text messages. Barrett wasn't talking about any of this stuff. But, okay, whatever you like. All right, let's get back to this.
That we have is that you had previously said that you didn't have any contact with your business partner, Mr. Anderson, while you were serving in Justin Trudeau's cabinet. But then when you got caught, you admitted that you had, of course, sent text messages and that there was a phone call between you and your business partner exactly when he was corresponding with potential clients and fraud victims about Randy, and Randy being in Vancouver, and that's where you were. The problem that we have is that in committee appearances, you've lied about owning 50% of the business. You lied about being in communication.
Mr. Chair.
You lied about there being another Randy.
That is not a fair characterization, Mr.
You lied
Mr.
about
Chair,
being Indigenous, and you lied about being a journalist. How can we believe anything that you say today?
Mr. Barrett, just 1 second, please. We have a point of order. Mr. Fresh, I don't know who raised it. It was...
Go ahead, Peter. Okay.
All together.
Yeah.
Mr. Carr?
Altogether, Barrett says.
That was Barrett?
Yeah.
That's brilliant.
Well, because this is the funny part, folks. All right. So for those that are new and you don't know what a point of order is, so a point of order is something that any MP can raise that is not a witness. Any MP can raise.
They can raise it in committee, or they can raise it in the House as long as it's not during question period. And there's another point during the House where they're not allowed to raise it. Probably during the vote is probably the other one.
Well, you also can't raise it
you can in the House
during a question of period privilege, I believe.
Yeah,
So-
that might be the other one. But you can definitely do it during debate in the House, but you cannot raise it during question period.
Right. So, and when you raise a point of order, that takes precedence over everything. So everything stops, and the chair or the speaker must acknowledge the person who's raising a point of order, because the intent of the point of order, in its purest form, is for an MP to call out when a particular process is not being followed properly or a standing rule is being deviated from. And so they will raise a point of order in order to cite what the problem is, and then that will go back to the speaker to make a ruling on that point of order to decide, is it valid, is it not, is there any action to be taken, and then they will continue. So you had Randy Boissonnault kind of like, he's being called a liar, and no one on the red team is doing anything to stop it. So he starts interjecting, saying, "Mr. Chair, I don't think that's right. I don't think that's right." And then all of a sudden, the Liberals are like, "Oh, point of order, point of order. I guess we should actually be helping Randy, right?" And then that's when Barrett was like, "All together now, in unison, point of order." So anyway, that was great.
He's so funny.
Okay, off we go.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, can you provide us with your reflections, please, on whether or not you believe it's within order to refer to a member in committee as a liar? Perhaps you can consult the clerk if you're unsure.
Point of order, Mr. Chair, too?
Hang on.
On that same point of order,
Mr. Druin?
we also have the Conservative House Leader who refers himself as an American insurance broker, and we know that's a lie. Are we
Okay,
going to
all right,
invite him
okay,
at the committee?
okay,
Just
okay,
wondering, same standards.
That was low. Is Jamie Schmiel new to being
well-
the chair?
Not sure.
Maybe we can change the language a bit and not refer to people as liars. And I'll give you your time back, Mr. Barrett.
Okay, he's the vice chair.
How can we believe anything that you say when all of the things that I've listed that you said aren't true? When you said you were Indigenous, you said you were a journalist, you said you weren't in contact with your business partner, you said that the company wasn't getting any federal contracts. All of those things aren't true. You said one thing, and the exact opposite is true. Now, your Liberal colleagues want
That's a lie,
to
everybody.
want to put flowery language around that. If you say something that's not true, we all know what that is. Why should we believe you? How can we believe you today?
Well, Mr. Chair, through you, I would like to inform Mr. Barrett that he's simply mistaken and putting false claims on. We've litigated this at Ethics now twice, and the Ethics Commissioner himself has indicated that on the 6th, 7th, and 8th of September, I was not involved in the text messages that the National Post and that the Conservatives keep trying to raise. I'm simply...
Okay, this is very dishonest for Boissonnault to be talking about this. What he is talking about, and he's like hanging his hat on this, is the first investigation that the Ethics Commissioner did when the Ethics Commissioner asked Boissonnault for all of his text messages. So he says, "Here, no problem. Here's my parliamentary phone. You will find no text messages on my parliamentary phone."
Oh, he didn't give him all the information.
Correct.
When the ethics commissioner had come back, once he received all the proper information, it was like, yeah, I probably would have made a different ruling.
Correct. So
Yeah.
when they found these WhatsApp messages on Anderson's phone, they were like, "Hey, there's other text messages that you didn't provide to the Ethics Commissioner, and you knowingly didn't provide that to the Ethics Commissioner, and that was really dishonest, Randy."
Well, it's because he had two phones, right?
Correct.
I mean, a lot of people have a work phone and a personal phone. You did that when you were working full time. Yeah.
So it's really, really disingenuous, and I could make it another joke there, but not, that would be at the expense of the Canada's Indigenous people, and I don't want to do that because they've had enough slander as a result of Randy
The situation,
Boissonnault.
yeah.
So you have it's so disingenuous to say, oh yeah, well the ethics commissioner cleared me on this matter, and he's trying to wave it in their face, and it is completely untrue. Gokodani with a $2 super chat, officially staring in Klingon right now. And Sean with a $7 super chat, think Trudeau is playing feminist to set stage for Mistress Jolie. No, he's just doing it to virtue signal.
I don't know. I think that's a rumor. I don't think we've proven that, because one of the things when Jolie came out with that New York Times like front page spread, I had joked, do you think it's like a lover scorned? But
well, and like we've been told some rumors that are flying around the House of Commons, and because they're unconfirmed, we're not going to be perpetuating gossip. But there's some crazy rumors flying around.
No, but it's fun to make fun, though.
Yeah. So, but
again,
the rumors
it's
have
all
nothing.
rumors.
The rumors have nothing to do with Jolie. Let me tell you that. So.
Yeah, a lot of rumors flying around the house.
Simply not the person involved in those conversations. There was a text exchange between me and Mr. Anderson regarding a Purelator account that needed to be settled, and I was very clear about that at ethics. There was no communication between us in the following days. Mr.
Seems
Barrett,
to change. Your story always seems to change
Mr. Barrett,
once you
I was at
no, sir.
Cabinet on the
It's
7th,
my time.
and
Your
there was no
story always
communication.
seems
Then
to.
I was there on the 8th of
Your,
Okay, one person at a time, please. It's very difficult for the interpreters to figure out what's going on here. One person at a time, please. I believe Michael Barrett had a question, and then we'll have a answer. Mr. Barrett. Point of order from Mr. Frederick.
This has been happening regularly in this particular exchange, and I think that it's good at the outset just to clear it up. Let's give the witness enough time to offer a response back.
Point of order.
What we've experienced in this committee is the person asking the question is due their time, and is in this case, Mr. Barrett is due his time to ask the person the questions he wants to ask. So just challenge the chair to keep that priority. Thank you.
Yeah, what my goal here is that the length of the question matches the length of the answer. Sorry, the length of the answer matches the length of the question. We'll try to keep that as close as possible, and that way it doesn't mess up the interpreters too much, and everyone has their time. So, Mr. Barrett, you have the floor.
equal time. You said you were a journalist. Are you?
Mr. Barrett, I was a regular reporter for the Francophone news outlet, CBC Radio Canada.
Yeah,
I was a member of the Canadian Media
and that was equal time,
for
and
several
that's
weeks.
not what CBC has said. You said you were Indigenous to get federal contracts disenfranchising Indigenous peoples. Are you?
Mr. Chair, that is simply false. That's not true. I've never claimed Indigenous status, and I've never applied for an Indigenous contract. Full stop.
Well, we know that that's also not true, because the company that you own 50% of, Mr. Boissonnault, did exactly that. Your company, GHI, is under investigation for fraud and being investigated by the police. Is that correct?
I have not been contacted by any police service to that effect. And Mr. Barrett, I was not involved in any federal contracts while I was operating.
And so,
a
as much
company.
as much as you want to distance yourself from it, this is very much yours to own, because you in fact own 50% of it. So you were willing to cash the checks, but you're not willing to take any of the responsibility for where the money came from and how.
And this is the problem, because I think it was up until June of this year, something like that, that he'd still owned a 50% share. He did.
Yeah, he didn't divest himself.
So guess what, Randy?
That's a big no-no. Like, you especially know that when you become part of cabinet. You have 60 days to fill out your forms and send them to the office of the ethics commissioner, and then they have another 60 days to tell you what to do.
Well, and it's not like these ministers, just sit there and everyone assumes they're going to do this. No, after they're appointed to cabinet, the ethics commissioner, their office reaches out to these people and says, here, this is everything you have to do. So please get on it and give this information back to us. So it's not like he didn't know. He absolutely did know. So the problem is because he was still a 50% owner, he shares the responsibility of when GHI classified itself as Indigenous on the application to actually get a government contract. And that's what Barrett's talking about. You were happy to cash the checks, but you don't want to bear the responsibility. As a 50% owner.
Yeah, I mean, as a 50% owner, you need to stand up and say, I screwed up and I'm willing to accept the consequences. It's not comfortable when something like that happens, but I mean, I think it says a lot about one's character when you are able to stand up and say, I screwed up, here's how I'm going to fix it, or I've screwed up and I'm going to accept the consequences.
How it came to be in possession of the company. Suspicious warehouse fires, fraud
Point of order, Mr.
investigations.
Chair.
Mr. Carr?
Yeah, I'm wondering, for the benefit of myself and other committee members, I would very much appreciate if the clerk could provide the timing of the length of questioning that you are allocating. It's 6 minutes per member. Every time that you stop the clock to deal with a point of order or to address something Mr. Barrett or Mr. Zimmer or others have said, I'd like it to be tracked for the committee that you're not providing more time to Mr. Barrett. So for our benefit, please, if you could have the clerk.
Are you questioning the judgment of the chair?
I am.
Oh, you know what? Okay, so I think his name is Benjamin Carr, if I'm not mistaken.
I think so.
Mr. Carr. He is a chair, and he's fairly good. You know, he's fairly objective in the committees of him that I've watched. He knows what he's doing. Now, he's using his authority as the chair of another committee to pick on Mr. Schmale, who is the vice chair, so he's not really used to conducting committee. You can see he's a little bit nervous. Maybe a little unsure of himself. Maybe he doesn't do this very often. And I think Carr, like, stepping in and using his authority to kind of demand Schmale to do something in this manner is just, I don't even know the word. It's not appropriate.
Well, and he's trying to imply that Jamie Schmale, as chairing the committee, is showing favoritism. And as chair, you're supposed to be nonpartisan, right? So
yeah, but I mean, the way Carr is like talking down to him, it's meant to intimidate. It's meant to throw Jamie Schmale off his game, and it's meant to get into his head and be like, "Well, you're not a very good chair, are you? I'm a better chair." Da 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 da.
Well, and they're also saying we don't trust you, so we want the clerk to track the time instead.
Yeah, like what he's doing, it's gross.
And good on Jamie Schmale to go back to him and directly ask him, are you questioning the judgment of the chair?
Yeah, this isn't your committee. You're not chair. Don't question my judgment.
Yeah, so shut your mouth.
Asking for the chair through his clerk.
Are you questioning the integrity of the chair?
I am asking the chair through
I
the
have
clerk.
a timer right here, Mr. Chair, and I am keeping as close eye as I possibly
So,
can.
Mr. Clerk, I'm going to ask through you then, please,
Well,
sir.
no, Chair, that's not how this works, Mr.
Oh,
Carr,
okay.
you
Well,
know.
then, Mr. Chair, I'm asking.
We
and
trust
I don't
your
believe,
chairs at committee when it comes
Mr. Chair.
to that time.
Mr. Chair,
I've
I'm
answered
asking
your-
on a point of order.
I've answered your point of order.
Point of order, Chair.
I'm
This is
watching that,
clearly
Mr. Chair.
disruptive,
Yes.
intended to be disruptive.
Sorry, I
Let's get
wasn't
back
done
to
my-
work.
I
Let's
wasn't
get
done
back
my
to the
point.
work of this
I've
committee.
already ruled on that, thank
Point
you.
of order.
If you wish to challenge
There's
the
too
chair,
many
go ahead.
people
but
speaking. We
Ms.
need to be respectful of the interpreters.
Yeah, absolutely. So I've ruled on that. If you wish to challenge the chair, there is a
I
process
will
for
challenge
that.
the chair.
Okay. We'll
Running
go to a vote.
interference for Randy.
Mr. Clerk?
I don't know if you caught Cooper there.
No, what did he say? I missed it.
He said he's running interference for Randy. Is what? What Cooper,
You know, I feel bad for Jamie right now. He's a really nice guy.
A lot of integrity.
Yeah, we
Mr.
have
Schmale.
had the privilege of exchanging brief emails with him in the past, and he's just a really down-to-earth, cool guy, and he doesn't deserve this right now.
No. And he also runs the Blueprint, which is the conservative podcast, which a lot of the MPs end up going on. But yeah, but you know, I give him kudos. He is handling this
very professionally.
well.
Yeah,
very professionally. Yeah.
Yeah. If it was me, I'd be kicking them out. Oh, I guess you can't do that in committee. I'd be trying to kick them out.
So the challenge, would you prefer
Well, you
wording?
said you made a decision, Mr. Chair. If you
I've
haven't made a
wording
decision, I have no
that-
challenge to make.
That the
If you
chair
have made a
as-
decision,
The chair, as always, Mr. Carr, I know we got some time here. The chair in any committee has been responsible with the timing, whether
Correct.
it's Mr. Weiler or myself.
Correct.
All right? We've never had a problem with that. I don't
Correct.
anticipate there's being a problem now. But now you're calling into question my
I
integrity.
actually have not, Mr.
And
Chair.
so-
I've simply asked that
And I've
the
made
committee...
a ruling that I will keep track of the time. I have 2 people on either side of me
Okay.
that will watch. I have done nothing to impugn my integrity. The fact that
I
you're
haven't
still
suggested
questioning
that you have, Mr.
is,
Schmidt. I've simply
rather
asked for the
frustrating.
time to be made
So having
public.
said that, enough. We don't want to waste any more time. So if you wish to challenge the chair, we'll challenge and we'll have a quick vote. If not, we will move on with Mr. Barrett, who has the floor. So
So
what
just
would you choose
so
to
I
do?
can confirm here, you are not agreeing to allow for the committee to be aware of how much time is being allocated
I
to
have
other
the
members?
timer right here. It's in full view of 2 other people.
Okay, so at any point, you're comfortable if we check in on that?
Absolutely.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you.
What an ass. I don't
Yeah.
use that word often on this show, but seriously.
Yeah, well, and he's trying to basically say, okay, just so we can get it on the record, you know, because we don't have any social media clips, so we're trying to figure out how to make some. So we just want to make sure you are not agreeing to share the time remaining with committee. Like, you never see that from any chair, conservative or liberal, where they say, all right, everybody, just so everybody knows at every step of the way, here's how much time they have left. No, that doesn't happen. Like, once in a while, you'll hear a chair say, okay, you have 30 seconds left, or you have this left. And that's usually after a long exchange or after a long interruption. So that it's to the benefit of the actual person asking the questions, not everybody else. So yeah, it's garbage. It's absolutely garbage.
Mr. Barrett, you have 45 seconds. Floor is yours.
So, Mr. Boissonnault, while you were claiming to be Indigenous, the Liberal Party was also echoing that claim on their websites and posting that you were Indigenous, and the ethical problems that presents, of course, are self-evident. But I'd like to know from you, if you're aware, how much money the Liberal Party of Canada fundraised off of your false claim and their false claim that you were Indigenous when that was simply false.
So this question is just one of grandstanding at this point. There's no way that anybody in the Liberal Party will know the answer to that question. What this is just to implant for people watching, just the thought of, oh yeah, they probably made money off of the fact that he was claiming he was Indigenous. That's disgusting. So, so that's an interesting little tactic that Mr. Barrett used right there.
So, Mr. Barrett, I sat at Indigenous Caucus as an ally between 2015 and 2019. And during the 2019 election, the party mistakenly included me on a list of Indigenous candidates. When I realized that I was on that list, I called the party, we contacted the party, and we had that mistake corrected. And I have never received, as a candidate in 2015, 2019, or 2021, any funding from the fund to support Indigenous candidates. And that is appropriate as it should be, because I do not claim Indigenous status.